You're listening to the School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast with me, Maury Morgan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next comedian.
Shouldn't drink on an empty head, you know that, don't you?
That is the shittiest heckle I have ever heard in my life.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
What's a bucket list?
You have dangerously underprepared yourself for the shit that is about to get real.
If there's one word to describe Mayumi Nobetsu, it's persistent. In this School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast episode, you'll hear how the quiet Japanese teenager first became obsessed with Monty Python before basing her schooling and career choices on the comedy scenes of New York, Kuala Lumpur and finally Melbourne. You'll also learn how she conspired with Monty Python's own Michael Palin and how she manages her lack of confidence as a performer. Which brings me to a quick commercial break for the upcoming July 23 to 27 stand-up comedy course in Melbourne, where Mayumi Nobetsu will be coaching and headlining alongside Aussie Dave O'Neill. If you'd like to meet Mayumi in person and get her comedy advice, then make sure you book your seat today. As of this recording, there's only 6 spots left. And now, here she is, Mayumi Nobetsu. Good morning, Mayumi. How are you?
Hi, ohayou gozaimasu. How are you?
Well, I'm very good. I believe you just asked me how I am in Japanese?
No, I just said good morning.
Oh, you just said good morning. Oh.
Yeah, o genki desu ka is how are you?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm very good, thank you.
Yes.
Well, School of Hard Knock Knockers listening to this podcast will obviously know that Mayumi Nobetsu is born in Japan. She's a Japanese comedian
That's right.
living here in Melbourne.
Hi, everybody.
Wonderful. Now, Mayumi, you tout yourself as a super minority. Japanese, living in Melbourne,
Yep,
but you also live in Chinatown. Is that it?
that's right. And also, in the comedy world, the female is still considered quite minority, although it's really growing number of the females doing it, and there's quite a few great female comedians as a professional as well, too, but still considered quite minority. So being a woman, being Asian, being Japanese, I think I find myself as quite minority, super minority in the comedy field.
Well, it's going to be very hard for other comedians to steal your jokes.
That's right. That's a privilege as well too. I think being a minority.
Now, you were born in Japan and you moved over to Australia. What year was that?
2004. There's a long story actually. If I can start with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was 13 years old in Japan. And my brother, at the time of primary school, he said, Sister, I find a very interesting TV program. It's a little bit of a nudity, but I find it very interesting and funny. And that was after a bedtime. So I just kind of begged my mom, both of us, my brother and I, said, can we just see, with your supervision, this funny program? We are very curious about it. And that was Monty Python, dubbed in Japanese. And I loved the Japanese comedy, but when I saw it, I got the big hit, a totally different kind of sense of humor, and I thought, this is it. And I wanted to be Monty Python, but I didn't know what to do, being 13 years old, living in Japan, never been outside of the world. So I wrote a fan letter with a freshly learned English saying, I am a Japanese girl. I am 13 years old. I like Monty Python like this. Are you married like this?
Yeah, right.
And then, after a while, I got the envelope from England with the Queen Elizabeth stamp on it. And that was from Michael Palin. I just picked up Michael Palin to write the letter. And he wrote me back. And we wrote back and forth about 10 years, that kind of accelerating my passion that I want to be Monty Python. I want to do something that he's doing kind of things. But I didn't know what to do at the time.
That's incredible. And when I heard this story originally, it just went through, one ear in one ear, out the other, and I didn't think much of it. But then in researching for this podcast today, I actually stumbled across a Michael Palin travel show where he goes to Japan and he meets you.
Yeah, that's right. How did I meet?
How was that experience?
When I'm meeting him?
Well, the whole thing of, one of your idols is coming over to meet you. He's going to come to your town.
Yeah, but do you know how it happened?
No.
Because, that's the thing. It might be getting length of the things, but so I was 15. I was going to have a high school, and my score was not good enough, so I have to study very hard to go to private public school to save 500,000 yen. If I can save 500,000 yen, I think at the time I can go to England.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway, so I just have to study hard and pass this examination, which all the teachers didn't want me to, take this test because it's going to be failure, and the school didn't want to have a failure. But I made it, and I saved gojuman, that's a 500,000 Japanese yen, to go to England to meet Monty Python. And I went there physically. And I asked my host family to check BBC, and that time it's no email, no Facebook, no nothing. So it's only the way it's telephone, telex, or something like that. And the BBC, and then we find it out the whole team was in Brazil until my stay of 6 weeks going to be expired. So I couldn't meet them. And I come back, and I just thought I have to do something about it. So I just took some improvisation theater for expat that Miss Sandy Weiss is doing in Tokyo. But she said my English is not good enough, so I just begged her for 5 times, 6 times visiting. Finally, I joined them, study, and then I thought I have to go overseas to study, theater or comedy or something to do Monty Python. But being a normal family, don't have any financial background, so like a financial support. I have no way. But I found 2 schools giving scholarship to study theater, and one of them have a comedy class. So I wanted to apply for this university, but the teacher started to bully me at the time, and he didn't want to write a recommendation letter for the university. But anyway, so I have to beg him and kneel down and just do all sorts of things. And he laughed at me because if you go to school to get this scholarship, how many people are going to apply? So I just did the research. About 300 people apply for this scholarship, and you can only apply in the 3rd year. And he laughed at me. Do you think you can get it? And I got it. So I studied theater and comedy, acting, all those things. So I went to New York. Yeah, I went to New York between that, and then took some comedy courses and have my first stage and kind of things. And the teacher told me, you'll be most likely the first Japanese stand-up comedian in New York if you do it. And I was queuing up for the open mic position to get, at the time they're having a drawing, so I was standing. And then the guy in front of me looked at me and said, how many jokes do you have? And then I just I didn't count my joke. I just have like a 5-minute material, all written up from this course. So I just couldn't answer. And he said, well, I wouldn't even dare to stand up in this queue if you don't have a couple of 100 jokes. And I go, I don't have 200 jokes. And then he looked at me, and then I stepped out from this queue and then didn't even apply for the open mic. So that was like a big loss, and that was kind of changed whole direction. But I wanted to go to overseas, but I know I cannot make living out of comedy. So I find a job that have foreign offices, and maybe after 5 o'clock I can learn comedy. So I apply one company, which about 700 people applied, and only 5 has passed, and I got this position, and I was going to be appointed to New York. So I was like, yes. But the day just before kind of the decision-making coming, and the presidents of the NIS came up and then grabbed this position. So I couldn't make that position. So I resigned.
Nepotism.
So I resigned this position and I find another company which have a California office. And this maybe can be possible for me to go to California. But the division was shrunk, and the American president, I was being a PA, was fired, and the whole opportunity is gone. So the next step is, I don't know. At the time, there's nobody going and working in overseas, like England or America, except expats kind of things. And I was not a job experience, and a lot of people going working holiday just started. Not so many people going for working holiday was scary things. So I couldn't grab that. And anyway, so I grabbed one opportunity working in hotel. So I just grabbed this hotel, and they have a comedy, but in Malaysia. So sorry. I grabbed this opportunity, and that was in Malaysia. But I was working like 11 to 11, so I couldn't go to any comedy things. There's only one comedy room at the time called Boom Boom, and I couldn't even see the comedy. And I thought, this is ridiculous. But one of the customers kind of praised my English, hotel guest saying, like, oh, you speak very good English. So I tell all the story I told you just now. And then he said, are you still in front of Michael Palin? So I said, yeah. And would you like to write the fan letter again, where you are? Now ended up in a hotel line. And, well, yeah, maybe. And then he asked me to write the letter. And he said he will come back next day. And he did. And I gave him the letter. And he was a Tony Buzan, who is the founder of Mind Map. The guy who found mind mapping, he was the founder. Tony Buzan was the one.
Yep.
And then he passed my letter, and then about months later, BBC or Monty Python company sent 13 pages of a facsimile asking me to fly into Japan to welcome Michael Palin.
There you go. So you actually weren't living there at the time?
No, I pretend like I was living, but I was not actually. Sorry about that, but...
Oh, the mystery's broken.
Yeah, well, yes, but...
Magic of television.
I shouldn't. Maybe you have cut that part, but...
That's an amazing story. So then, look, it sounds like you had this huge passion for comedy and you hit so many roadblocks, but you kept going, you kept pushing through. And then you decided Melbourne, Australia.
Right. But after seeing him, I recognized he's not really doing comedy. That it's a totally different field. And I got a little bit kind of... puzzled, and my day-to-day job working in a hotel carried on, and I got headhunted in the place in Melbourne. They just wanted me to do the same managing work. So I just said, well, I'm very happy in Malaysia, and just working in a hotel line, and why? But I decided to come Melbourne because I realized there is comedy festival in here. So I just went to the comedy festival. But again, my workload doesn't allow me to go to any of the comedy things, and I'm missing the comedy festival every year. Yeah. So after everything passed in year 2011, I just decided to give a go. That's the first time. And about year 2008, 9, 10, I just started to take whatever the courses possible. And the year 2011, April 11, I think, I just had a first stage after the graduation. Same as like a knock-knock, like a graduation performance. That was my first graduation performance at the Exford Hotel.
On Russell Street.
Yeah, that's right.
Chinatown. Yeah.
Yes, I ended up living very near,
Fantastic. And that was a free event, I assume? You were just open micer performing?
That's right.
Yeah. Then how long between that day at the Exford to your first paid gig?
My first paid gig was $20 I got for my 5-minute performance. That was after maybe coming to the second year. Yes, I was paid by, I think, which one was the first, but Gentleman. And he's been watching me from the very early stage, and then decided to give me the money, and that was the first $20. I still have it.
You still have it? Did you?
Cannot use it.
I can understand that. I can understand that 100%.
Gabriel Rossi picked me up as one of the first Japanese. First Japanese and also first female performer in the Waggy Christmas. They've been running over. That was the 13th year for their performance, I think. And I was the member of that. First time of the female. And I was very honored. And Gabriel Rossi watched my performance when I was doing open mic, and we happened to perform together, and I saw his performance before, and I kind of say hello, and he, usually every performer leave, when the open micer started to perform, after they finished. But he stayed on and watched me, and then he said, well, we, just keep in touch like this. And after a little bit later, quite a few, I think about a year later, he just started to talk to me and then said, hey, are you interested? So I said, definitely. Yeah, and that was the start of a little bit far better paying jobs started to come in.
Yeah. Now, was all this before or after the stand-up at Bella Union?
Yeah, that was after the Woggy Christmas, I think.
Okay, correct. Because I'm just going to throw a couple of names at you on this. You were in episode 10 of this, I assume it's a DVD set. It has people like Nazim Hussain, who's done amazing things. Kevin Kropinieri, an Aboriginal performer, well-respected comedian. Who else? Ronnie Chung, of course, who has gone on. He's got a little TV show that's, I think it's airing on ABC at the moment. And he's over in the US a lot of the time, so incredible stuff. So I'm looking at this list of people. It is a really healthy group of different styles, different ethnicities, different genders, of course.
Right.
And you're part of that, which is exciting.
I'm very honored and happy to be picked for one of them. These great people. Just I feel like maybe too early or I'm not good enough, but opportunity is given, so I grabbed it, did my best kind of thing.
My wife's Chinese. Japan and China are very different, but I know Asian culture has a habit of, putting yourself down a little bit more. You need a bit more American can-do attitude, perhaps.
That's right. that is a big trigger. I don't know if the listener have come through this lack of confidence part, but I have a huge lack of confidence and always having a little bubble telling me like, oh, you are not good enough. How dare you, think about it, this, think about that like this. So it's very difficult to fight over that kind of disturbance to build the confidence.
And you're doing something that a lot of Japanese comedians don't do, and that is intelligent comedy versus slapstick comedy. So most of the acts that we see at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival from Japan, they often... They are very slapstick in their nature of comedy.
This is very sad part of it as a being Japanese, and most of the Japanese people also share this same vision because we have a great, great comedy back home.
Yeah.
And many people spend 10 years, 20 years honing it, but they cannot be translated and just cannot be brought out to English countries. So very sad. The high-quality comedy, one of the best kind, will never go outside. So you guys don't know it. I don't say those slapstick is not good, but only the one that the comedy festival bringing in, it's something like that. So everybody got the image of, oh, that's Japanese comedy, but that is not. Maybe if you have a whole as a comedy, maybe that could be like a 30%, 20% or something like that. But majority of them is very nice, very intellectual, very sarcastic sometimes, Yeah, very nice quality of comedy, but unfortunately, you people will never be able to touch it or enjoy it. That's my dilemma, that I feel frustrated because there's so many great comedians over there, but cannot be understood.
Well, you've done a very good job in assimilation in your comedy. One of the favourite parts of your acts that I love is the turning into an Aussie, turning to an Aussie. It's to the theme or the melody of turning Japanese,
right.
and you play it with that traditional Japanese instrument. What's that called?
Shamisen.
It's a beautiful instrument. It does look like you're playing it with some kind of a bricklayer tool, though. What is
like
the
a pick? Yeah, it's traditionally made of like a turtle shells or the elephant, what do you call it, ivory, but now it's banned, so it's good. Like a simulated materials. But I use wood, I use plastic, whatever. Sometimes I use only my finger. That's called tsumabiki. Yeah. I do tsumabiki.
Well, it's hilarious because you play the song turning Japanese, but you've changed it turning to an Aussie with this Japanese instrument. If you're listening to this podcast, just Google Mayumi Nobetsu stand-up or instrument, and you'll see a very hilarious performance.
This music is actually, I don't claim it's my creation, although I altered it. It was originally the present from Mr. Frank Italiano. He kind of enjoyed my style of comedy, and then he just kind of suggested that, I just wanted to do some parody. I have a couple parody songs, and he just made it up and gave to me. So I kind of changed a little bit, but that's originally creation of a Mr. Frank Italiano as a present, which I cherish and carry around with me.
So Australian culture, you're right into it. Have you done any tours of rural Australia in your stand-up career? Yes.
Rural, I don't know how far you call it rural, like a Geelong or
Frankston.
Frankston. Oh, if it's Frankston is rural, yes, I went to Emerald as well too.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
What about a little bit more outback, traditional outback with sort of dusty towns and red soil?
I wanted to do it at the Iron Knob, but there is no stage over there. Have you ever been to the place called Iron Knob?
Iron Knob? No, I have not. I have not. I would remember that if I had.
Different state. Yeah, that's. They have no shops, no restaurants, no petrol stations, and just nothing. And that I thought it's so beautiful. One of the most favorite city in Australia is Iron Knob, if I can state. Yes, you should go.
Never heard of the place. So you're saying that rural towns aren't as racist as my wife thinks they are?
Oh, your wife thinks the rural places racist?
Oh, yeah.
Racist?
All white people are racist, aren't they?
I don't think so. Sometimes the same ethnic people are more racist to each other. Like, I have a very nasty comment from Chinese people, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Racist, I don't think the Australians are racist. They at least try to understand. Many of them, some people, they might feel annoyed that so many Asian faces coming in. But if I try to wear their shoes, I kind of understand the speed of the people growing, the numbers of the growing, so fast and everywhere they're coming into it, opening business and kind of thing. I feel threat if I'm in a inland country person. So I kind of understand the mentality a little bit, hating them. But the racism is everywhere. I just don't like that people hypocritically say, "Oh, I'm not racist," kind of people that you are.
Okay.
I never had actually to answer the question. I never really had a nasty racist kind of comment all through my 6 years of comedy career at this moment.
Well, thank you for that very deep direction down into racism. That's a fascinating area. Racism, sexism, playing fun of coloured hair. I mean, these are all parts of comedy, but of course, it has to be done in context. It has to be done in jest and not malice, of course.
That's right.
Which is something we teach at the School of Hard Knock Knocks. Well, let's go back to comedy, because people are probably very depressed at this moment. What advice would you give to up-and-coming comedians, people who are just starting out in the business?
Enjoy it. That's things. Enjoy it.
Well, how can they enjoy it when they're terrified, when their heart is beating through their chest and they're sweating and they're looking at the audience going, "Oh, why am I here?"
That's right. In my early stages, I have several people really helped me, and like Emily O'Laughlin, Linda Beattie, Megan McKay, Gabe Hogan, Nadine Sparks, those and Morgan Smith, those always telling me when I'm lacking the confidence, they say, think that you're special. Think that you want to enjoy like this. Just pay more attention to the audience. Just pay more attention to the audience. They love you like this. So don't be funny. They say, oh, that's another thing. Don't be funny. Just pay attention to the audience and enjoy the moment like this.
Right. Good.
That's very important. People are so afraid of hecklers and all those things, but that's part of the reaction. They're emitting some sort of emotion to you, and mostly the heckling things is usually, I find it's kind of love or some sort of emotion that they want to pass it on to you. So you receive it and just appreciate it and share with the other audience members and, just exchange your love, because you're doing it because you have some feeling that you want to share with the audience. So just share that, and then audience reacting, appreciate that, and then just give that reaction, and the audience react, and then you give another reaction. So it's like a communicating with them. So just pay attention and communicate with them. Just pay attention, communicate with them, try to enjoy the moment. I'm having a good time like this. So.
Yeah, right. It sounds very Zen-like. I can imagine in my mind you're raking white sand at the moment on stage.
Yeah, just making a green tea and everything.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if everyone can relate to how you just described the experience of performing stand-up comedy, certainly at the beginning, but hopefully when those out there that are growing and learning reach that level of complacency and zen-like relaxation state.
Well, you have a material you want to talk to, and that's very special because each individual people have something different to talk about. So just share the special part. This is my special one. This is what I think is funny. Just share. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel nervous. I mean, I do feel nervous, actually, very nervous. But, just I'm sharing this like this. You just have a feeling like I'm sharing it. I'm so lucky. You just channel the energy, maybe. I'm so lucky to be with the great people on stage.
There it is again.
So
the zen-like. I like it. I like it. Well, on that note, people can actually meet you in person. You are going to be one of our guest teachers through the July 23 to 27 School of Hard Knock Knocks stand-up comedy course. So you can rub off some of that zen-like attitude onto the students who join.
Okay, I don't like the concept of teaching because I don't think like a teacher from above, like educating people. But I can be stepping stone. All those things I failed and all those things I got frustrated or all those things my senior or professional comedian pass it on to me. I just freely give it to you. I just want to share with you. So grab it, that's what I can do. Just step onto me and then go to your higher step. That's fine.
That's excellent. And so those people listening to this podcast, if you would like to meet Mayumi, she's actually going to be the stepping stone for you if you come to the July 23 to 27 stand-up comedy course in Melbourne. Fantastic. Well, Mayumi, what's on your plate at the moment? Where will you be performing soon?
I have a bit of a project in a rural part of it that I'm going to work on in the future. But Speak Easy.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, headquarter occasionally ask me to work on weekends. So every performance information is on my Facebook. So just please take a look at my Facebook, Mayumi Nobetsu, and have a posting of the information. I will post the information.
Fantastic. And we'll, of course, provide a link in the show notes from this podcast. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or via the School of Hard Knock Knocks website, then there will be a little link that will take you back to Mayumi's Facebook page. Well, Mayumi Nobetsu, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And
good luck, everybody.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you in July, face-to-face,
Thanks.
providing some of that valuable insight into your stand-up comedy career and all of the hurdles that you overcame, both in a cultural language and just standing in line with not enough jokes.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good luck, everybody.